The night Daniel pinned me against the wall of our childhood home, his breath hot on my neck as I gasped, "We can't," before his lips silenced me, was the night I became a stranger to myself. Welcome, everyone. To those new here, I am Amanda, and this is a story about how a single reckless choice atomized my life. If you're just joining us, subscribe because what comes next? Well, you will need a seatbelt. To my returning viewers, your support humbles me. To everyone watching, thank you. Your subscriptions fuel this channel, so if you haven't hit that button yet,
do it now.
Then meet me in the comments. Let's begin. I was 28 when Kenneth Price, my college sweetheart, knelt on a Napa Valley vineyard terrace at sunset and asked me to marry him. His sandy hair glowed in the golden light, his hands steady as he slid the diamond onto my finger. "You're my always," he whispered. I believed him. 3 months later, my older brother Daniel moved back to Ohio after a messy divorce. Daniel, charismatic, brooding, with a grin that made waitresses spill drinks, had always been my protector. When our dad died, he had shielded me from Mom's wine-soaked rages. But now, at 33, he was different. Harder. Colder. "You're letting Ken plan everything?" Daniel scoffed one evening, flipping through my wedding binder. His biceps strained against his shirt sleeve as he tossed it aside. "Since when do you settle for bland?" I stiffened. "Ken's thoughtful."
"He's safe."
"Safe?" Daniel's laugh was a low rumble. He stepped closer, the cedar scent of his cologne dizzying. "You used to want adventure." His thumb grazed my collarbone, lingering, a beat too long. I recoiled, my pulse jagged. This isn't happening. But it kept happening. Daniel volunteered to renovate Ken's cramped bachelor pad into our dream home. He would show up unannounced, sweaty from the gym, handing me a coffee just how you like it, cream, no sugar. He memorized my quirks, my hatred of cilantro, my fear of thunderstorms. Ken, buried in work, missed the signs. Then came the night of Mom's birthday. Ken was stuck at the office. Daniel drove me home, his Jeep silent except for the rain battering the roof. At my doorstep, he gripped my wrist. "You're gonna marry a guy who forgets your mom's birthday?" "He's busy," I snapped, yanking free. Daniel crowded me, his eyes black in the shadows. "You deserve more." And then, his mouth crashed onto mine, fierce and claiming. My back hit the door, his hands tangling in my hair. It wasn't gentle. It wasn't right. But God, it was electric. I shoved him off, trembling. "You're my brother." He smirked, wiping my lipstick from his mouth. "Half-brother. Different dads, remember?" The truth slithered in. Mom had Daniel with her high school boyfriend. I had always known, but never felt it.
Until now.
I fled inside, scrubbing my lips raw. But Daniel's kiss had rewired me. Ken's pecs felt sterile. My ring grew heavy. At our next renovation meeting, Daniel cornered me in the unfinished master bathroom. His callous fingers traced my jaw. Tell me to stop, he dared. I didn't. Tile dug into my spine as he kissed me again, slow, deliberate. My engagement ring clinked against the shower glass. Guilt coiled in my gut, but desire coiled tighter. That night, I stared at Ken's peaceful face as he slept. "I will end it tomorrow," I vowed. But tomorrow, Daniel texted, "I can't stop thinking about you." And I replied, "Guilt tastes like bile. It claws up your throat when you're brushing your teeth, whispering to your fiancé about paint swatches, or staring at your brother's texts, 'I need you,' during Sunday dinner." But desire? Desire is a drug. It floods your veins, burns your resolve, makes you forget your own name. For weeks, I danced between those two poisons. Daniel and I stole moments like thieves. Quick, frantic meetings in his truck parked behind the gym where he worked as a trainer. lingering touches in hardware store aisles as Ken compared drill bits. Once, we risked a midday tryst in the half-built walk-in closet of what was supposed to be my marital home. The smell of sawdust clung to my skin for hours. Ken kissed my shoulder that night and said, "You smell like a construction site." I laughed, high-pitched and hollow. "It's the renovation chaos," I lied. Daniel hated Ken's obliviousness. "He doesn't see you," he would growl, fingers digging into my hips as we argued in the dark. "I am the only one who knows you." He wasn't wrong. Ken loved the idea of me, the future wife, the smiling hostess, the mother of his hypothetical children. But Daniel? He unearthed the girl who had skinny dipped in Lake Erie at 16, who had shoplifted lipstick just to feel alive, who had screamed at our mother's funeral. He craved the cracks in me. The cracks began to split wider. One October morning, I stared at a pregnancy test in a CVS bathroom. 2 pink lines. Ken's, I told myself. We had been careful. Mostly. But Daniel and I, reckless. Feverish. Once, in the back seat of his Jeep, we hadn't bothered. When I told Daniel, his face went eerily still. "Get rid of it," he said. "What if it's yours?" I whispered. He gripped my chin, his wedding band, still on his finger. God, he never took it off, digging into my jaw. "Then you will marry me instead." Panic curdled in my gut. That night, I told Ken I was pregnant. He cried, spinning me in the kitchen, chanting, "We're having a baby." His joy felt like a knife. Enter Amy Walsh, my best friend since 3rd grade. Sharp-eyed, sharp-tongued, with a pixie-cut dyed cotton candy pink. She noticed things. "Since when do you drink decaf?" She asked one afternoon at our favorite cafe, stirring her caramel macchiato. I froze. "Caffeine's bad for the baby," I almost said. But the baby wasn't public yet. Trying to cut back, I mumbled. Her gaze dropped to my neck, where Daniel's stubble had left a faint rash. "Can finally grow a beard?" I tugged my scarf higher. "Allergy." She leaned in, her perfume, vanilla and nicotine, smothering me. "Amanda, are you cheating on Ken?" The world tilted.
What? No.
"Because if you are," she continued, voice icy, "I will gut you." Amy adored Ken. She had been the one to set us up, swearing we were soulmates. Now her loyalty felt like a noose. Daniel's possessiveness sharpened. He started showing up at my OB/GYN appointments, lurking in the parking lot. "You shouldn't be alone," he would say, ignoring my protests. When I refused to let him into the ultrasound room, he texted, "You're keeping secrets from me now." The fetus became a time bomb. Every kick or gas bubble, I couldn't tell, made me wonder, whose eyes will it have? Ken, meanwhile, bloomed. He framed the sonogram, bought tiny sneakers, sang off-key lullabies to my stomach. "You're glowing," he would murmur, oblivious to my flinches. One frozen December night, Daniel cornered me in his apartment. His hands slid under my sweater, warm against my swollen belly. "Mine," he muttered, kissing my neck. I pushed him away. "Stop. I am done with this." He laughed, cold and brittle.
Done?
"You think you get to walk away?" His grip tightened. "I will tell Ken everything. Ruin your perfect little life." Fear iced my veins. "You wouldn't." He smiled, a predator's smile. "Try me." The next morning, Amy stormed into my apartment. Her face was pale, her hands shaking as she slapped a photo on the table. A grainy shot of Daniel and me in his Jeep, his hand on my thigh. "You're sleeping with your brother?" she hissed. "Half-brother," I choked out, the distinction suddenly pathetic. She stared at me, tears in her eyes. "You're a monster." "Please, Amy." "You have 2 choices," she interrupted, voice steady now. "Call off the wedding and tell Ken the truth. Or I will do it for you." I begged, I bargained, I even considered falling to my knees. But Amy was granite. That night, Daniel texted, "Come over now." I didn't reply. Instead, I sat in the nursery Ken had painted seafoam green, clutching the sonogram, and sobbed. Guilt is a prison. By January, mine had no windows, no doors. Just Amy's ultimatum ringing in my skull and Daniel's threats staining every breath. The baby, now the size of a lemon, twisted inside me like a secret too heavy to hold. Amy's blackmail was elegant in its cruelty. Call off the wedding within a week, she had demanded, or I will send Ken the photo. She didn't scream, didn't sob. Just slid a printed countdown calendar across the cafe table, 7 days left, with a smile sharper than her eyeliner.
TikTok, Amanda.
I considered running. Pack a bag, empty my account, vanish into some roadside motel where no one knew my name. But Ken's face, soft, trusting, clueless, haunted me.
And Daniel? He would hunt me.
Instead, I gambled. Let's elope, I blurted to Ken that night, kneading dough for his favorite garlic knots. Skip the big wedding. Just us in Vegas. He paused, flower dusting his wedding band. You've been planning that wedding since you were 12. Exactly, I thought. A 12-year-old couldn't fathom lies this big. I forced a laugh. Maybe I want you all to myself. He kissed my temple. Let's talk tomorrow. Daniel wasn't as gentle. He intercepted me at Pure Bar the next morning, muscles flexing in his tight Nike tee as he borrowed a resistance band beside me. Ignoring me? He muttered, stretching too close. There's nothing left to say. I focused on my trembling thighs. His hand grazed my lower back, a mock correction of my form. You think Amy's your biggest problem? His breath hit my ear. Wait till Ken learns his kid might be mine. The room spun. A perky instructor called, "Beautiful form, Amanda," as Daniel smirked. That afternoon, Ken came home early. I found him at our dining table, Amy's countdown calendar in his hands.
No.
No. Amy gave me this, he said, voice frayed. Said it's a surprise for you. What is it? Relief flooded me, bitter and nauseating. She's toying with us both. A gender reveal countdown, I lied, clutching my belly. She's annoyed I won't find out early. Ken's shoulders relaxed. You scared me, I thought. He cut himself off, ashamed. You thought I was capable of this, I realized. And for one reckless moment, I almost told him. Then his phone buzzed, a client email, and the moment shattered. Amy escalated. Day 4, a bouquet of black roses arrived with a note. TikTok. Day 3, she accidentally forwarded Ken a link to a siblings who sleep together documentary. Day 2, she cornered me at Target, her cart piled with baby onesies. Still playing house? She held up a daddy's little girl bib. Which daddy, I wonder? I snapped. Grabbing her wrist, I hissed. What do you want?
Money?
A confession? She yanked free, eyes blazing. I want the Amanda I knew back. The one who deserved Ken. She's gone, I whispered. Amy's resolve flickered. For a heartbeat, I saw the girl who had held my hair back after prom, who had driven me to get my IUD. Then she hardened. 24 hours. Daniel pounced that night. He had copied my key, let himself in, and was lounging on our bed when I stepped out of the shower. Miss me? I froze, towel clutched to my chest. Get out. Or what? He stood, trailing a finger down my damp arm. You'll scream? Wake Ken? His other hand settled on my stomach. Our baby's listening. Rage crackled through me. I slapped him hard. He laughed, pinning me against the wall. Feisty. That's why I love you. The words hung, grotesque and glittering. You don't love me, I spat. You love destroying me. His grip tightened. Same thing. Downstairs, a door opened. Ken's voice called. Babe? Why's the bedroom locked? Daniel's smile turned feral. Choose. Open that door, or I will. The knock came again, harder this time. Amanda? Why is the door locked? Ken's voice was muffled but urgent. Daniel's grip on my arm tightened, his eyes daring me to scream. I swallowed the scream and the truth. Just changing, I called, forcing a laugh. Give me a sec. Daniel smirked, releasing me to straighten his shirt. Smart girl, he whispered, slipping into the walk-in closet as I unlocked the door. Ken frowned at my damp hair, the towel still clutched to my chest. You okay? Fine, I lied, stepping into his embrace to block his view of the closet. His familiar citrus cologne clashed with Daniel's cedar scent still clinging to my skin.
Bad day.
Needed a shower. He kissed my forehead. Let's order Thai. Celebrate 1 week till the wedding. The word wedding hung like a guillotine. Amy's deadline expired at midnight. I spent the final hours begging via text. Please. I'll tell him. Just give me time. Her reply, time's up. At 9:03 a.m., Ken's phone buzzed during breakfast. He frowned at the screen. An unknown number. Then his face drained of color. What is this? He rasped, shoving the phone at me. The photo. Daniel's hand on my thigh, my head thrown back in laughter. Followed by a video. Security footage of us in the hardware store, his lips brushing my neck as I pretended to study faucets. Ken. He stood so fast his chair toppled. Who is he? My mouth opened.
Closed.
Amanda. Daniel, I whispered. For 3 seconds, silence. Then his fist slammed the table, rattling our Mr. and Mrs. Muggs. Your brother? Half-brother, I choked, the distinction suddenly vile. He staggered back, clutching his chest like I had shot him. How long? It doesn't matter. How long? For months. A guttural sound escaped him, half sob, half roar. He lunged for the fireplace, snatching the framed sonogram. Is it?
No.
I don't know. The frame shattered against the wall. The church was packed. Not for a wedding, for a slaughter. I had begged Ken to talk privately, but Amy had already forwarded the evidence to everyone. Cousins, co-workers, our pastor. They sat clutching programs titled Amanda and Kenneth. Forever, now a punchline. Amy stood in front, arms crossed, pink hair stark against her black dress. Ken faced me at the altar, his tuxedo replaced by a wrinkled hoodie. You wanted a show? His voice carried across the silent room. Hair race your show. Murmurs rippled through the pews. Ken, please. Did you love him? The question gutted me.
Yes. No.
I don't know. He read my silence. Get out. You're my always, I whispered, our old vow. He flinched. I was. A whimper escaped me. Someone's phone rang, playing Here Comes the Bride. Nervous laughter erupted. Then Daniel walked in. Gasps filled the room. He strode down the aisle, clean-shaven, smug, holding a single peony, my favorite. Stop, I pleaded as he reached us. He ignored me, offering Ken the flower. Thanks for warming her up. Ken's fist connected with his jaw. Chaos erupted. Aunt Sharon screamed. Amy lunged at me, claws out. Daniel laughed, blood on his teeth, as ushers dragged him away. And Ken? He was already gone. Daniel's apartment was empty. No note. No forwarding address. Just a stain on the carpet where we had once split a bottle of Merlot. His gym membership canceled. Phone disconnected. Vanished. The baby kicked as I sank to the floor. My fault. All my fault. Mom called once. You're dead to me. Amy's final text. You did this to yourself. Ken changed his number. I sold the ring, moved into a motel, and stared at the sonogram shard I had saved. Waiting. The contraction started at 3 a.m. on what should have been my wedding night. Alone, trembling, I dialed 911. The operator asked, "Emergency contact?" I hung up. They named the baby Grace, a cruel joke from a god I no longer believed in. She lived for 19 minutes. Tiny, silent, her heart shaped like a broken valentine. The nurses let me hold her. I traced her eyebrows, delicate as moth wings, and wondered which monster she resembled. They buried her in an unmarked plot. I didn't attend. For months, I lived in the motel's perpetual twilight, curtains drawn, phone off. My body ached with phantom kicks. My mind replayed Ken's shattered face, Daniel's smirk, Amy's betrayal. I drank cheap wine until the memories blurred. Then, on a Tuesday, someone slid an envelope under my door. Inside, a Polaroid of Daniel, shirtless, arms slung around a bleached blonde woman. Scrawled on the back, he's at it again. Laura. The next day, a Facebook message from Laura Haskins, Daniel's latest victim. Meet me? Laura wore her rage like perfume. Over diner coffee, she revealed Daniel's pattern. Target vulnerable women, seduce them, drain their savings, vanish. He's done this in 3 states, she said, sliding a folder of bank statements, love letters, a positive pregnancy test from 2018. You're not the first, sister. The word sister made me flinch. Why tell me? She smiled grimly. You're the only one who can ruin him. Revenge tastes metallic, like blood or adrenaline. I tracked Daniel to a Tampa gym where he had reinvented himself as Dante, a divorced Marine turned life coach. I sat through a seminar, stomach churning as he preached, "Burn the past to build your future." During Q&A, I stood. What if the past won't burn, Daniel? Recognition flashed. He froze, microphone slipping. I hurled Lara's folder into the crowd. Ask him about the women he abandoned. The babies. His sister. Chaos erupted. Phones rose, recording. Daniel lunged, but Lara's boyfriend blocked him. Smile, asshole, he growled. You're TikTok famous now. The video went viral. Hashtag sibling predator trended. Daniel's exes emerged like cicadas, sharing stories. His gym fired him. His landlord evicted him. I didn't celebrate. Instead, I visited Grace's grave. Rain soaked my jeans as I placed a peony on the mud. I am sorry, I whispered. The wind didn't answer. Ken found me there. He looked older, beard peppered with gray, a new tattoo on his wrist. Isaiah 54 verse 17. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. I tried to call, I said uselessly. He nodded. I am engaged. Her name is Jane. The pain was dull, deserved. Is she kind?
She's honest.
He hesitated, then hugged me. Brief, bittersweet. Goodbye, Amanda. Today, I run a YouTube channel. Not for sympathy. Not for fame. For the Laris. The Amys. The Graces. Daniel's in Idaho now, selling herbal supplements. Sometimes I get DMs. He messaged me. What do I do? I reply, screenshots save lives. Ken and Jane have a daughter. Her Instagram shows pumpkin patches, ballet recitals. I never look. Amy sent a letter last year. I am sorry. I loved you both. I tore it. As for me, I am healing. Dating a librarian who brings me tea and doesn't ask about my tattoos. Writing a memoir I will never publish. But here's the truth I will leave you with. Secrets are grenades. Love isn't enough. And redemption? It's not a destination. It's the road you claw through hell to build. To every viewer who stayed till the end, thank you. This story was my confession, but your support wrote the absolution. If it gripped you, haunted you, do me a favor. Drop a comment. Tell me what you would have done differently. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Smash that like button if you're hashtag Team No More Secrets.
And if you haven't yet, subscribe.
This channel thrives because of you.
Stay brave. Stay honest.
And never let anyone silence your story.